Hello! Welcome to today's episode of Tea Tactics and Tenacity. Had a long buffer there waiting for Instagram to go live. It was like 3, 2, and it sat on 1 for like 10 seconds. Anyways, good morning! Happy Sunday! Welcome to today's episode of Tea Tactics and Tenacity. I am your host, Jenn HERMAN with Jenn's Trends. Today we're talking about, can you merge Instagram accounts? This question was submitted by Susanna, asking if we could merge Instagram accounts. Every question I answer here on my weekly Tea Tactics and Tenacity show is a question submitted by a viewer just like you, who wants an answer to something on Instagram to better succeed on Instagram, to finally get that question answered that they've been Googling and can't get the right answer to. That is what this show is all about. And so Susanna submitted this question on, can you merge Instagram accounts? So that's what we're going to talk about today. For Tenacity, we're also going to talk a little bit about poverty mentality, scarcity mentality, what that means in business, what that means in life, and how do we change our mindset to abundance mentality. So that's what we're talking about today. For everybody who is popping in live, hello, happy Sunday. Great to see you. I love seeing all of your faces here pop up on Instagram. And for those of you who are watching the replay, thank you. So glad that you're watching on the replay as well. So let's dive into today's question, which is, can you merge Instagram accounts? The straight up, flat answer, no. You cannot merge Instagram accounts. I wish you could. It would be great if we could merge Instagram accounts. It is critical when you've got a larger organization that maybe acquired a smaller organization, and they both have their own separate Instagram accounts, they have their own separate social media profiles, their own separate websites, but now they're one entity and you want to merge them together. Can't do it on Instagram. Maybe you've had a personal profile and you've had a professional profile and you're at a stage where you want to merge them into one. Can't do it. Super annoying. Unfortunately, Instagram does not allow us that functionality to merge those Instagram accounts. That doesn't mean there aren't solutions. It doesn't mean that you can't do something about it. It just means that you can't directly merge the two accounts. So typically, while I get my tea going, typically what you can do, since you can't physically take this Instagram account and merge them together, pick which one you want to use as the dominant. So hypothetically, if we use that case where a larger organization has acquired a smaller one, you're going to keep the larger organization's Instagram account because that is their Instagram account. They're the company that acquired the smaller one. Now, even if the smaller one has a bigger Instagram presence, you don't want to move the conglomerate up top into the smaller one typically. There could be exceptions to this rule, but in general, you're going to want to use the umbrella, the top company, the acquiring company. You're going to want to retain their socials and slowly migrate away from the smaller one, the acquired company, into that. If you had two accounts, if you had a personal account and a professional account, or maybe you had two professional accounts that were in slightly different genres, but you want to bring them into one, pick the one that has the best engagement, the best audience, the best interactivity with your audience. It doesn't necessarily mean it has the bigger audience. It could be that, but the one that has the most interactive audience. Now, that being said, if your personal profile is a personal account and the other one is a professional account, you're still going to, if you choose to keep the personal account, you need to move that to a professional account so that you have the dashboard, you have the insights, you have the additional tools for things like DMs and those sorts of features that you have as a business profile. You are going to want to move the personal into a profile or into a professional profile environment so that you are adhering to all of those functionalities and getting all that usability for your profile. So pick the one account that you want to be dominant. Pick that one account that you're going to say, okay, this is my, professional account and I'm going to merge my other one into this one. Or again, this is the acquiring company and I'm going to, merge the other one into it. So again, we can't merge. For those of you who are popping in live, we're talking about whether or not you can merge Instagram accounts, and the answer is no, but we're talking about what you can do instead. So you now take what was the old account, the smaller account, the account that's not going to be anymore, and you're going to want to post content to that account explaining that you're moving everything to this other account. So Mike Alton is in the house. Hello, Mike Alton. You're going to want to say, like, let's say account A is going to be the new dominant account, the merged account going forward, and account B is the one that we're no longer going to use. Account B is the one that's going to go away. So you're going to want to create a series of posts on account B. You're going to have reels, you're going to have stories, you're going to have feed posts, you're going to have a series of content over a period of time. This may be 2 weeks, it may be 2 months. You figure out what that time frame looks like. But you're going to want to create content that says, hey, just so you know, we've merged with account A and all of our content is now going to be on account A. And you're going to mention that other account. You're going to go over there and put all of your content going forward is going to be there. So we want to mention them so they can easily go over there. And we're going to want to do that, like I said, consistently over a period of time. You're going to want to pin that post from your feed post to your profile on Instagram. So that if someone comes to your profile having found you, they now see that there's this pinned post that says, hey, we've moved. And it's going to link to that new account A that you've now decided to put all your content into. So you're going to do this, like I said, over a series of posts. Stories you can do more regularly, like you could just do the same post literally over and over again that just says, hey, just a reminder, if you're seeing this post, we're no longer posting to this account. All of our content is going to be over on account A. And mention to hyperlink over to account A so they can, and say, follow us there. So you want to make sure that you are driving your existing audience from account B over to account A. You're also going to want to put something on account A that says, hey, welcome, everybody from account B. Welcome. You're in the right place. Again, pinning that post to the profile so that if somebody comes over, they know they found the right place. You want to put them there and say, hey, yes, you're supposed to be here. Then, back on account B, you want to update the profile. So you're going to go in there on their profile and you're going to take out whatever description you have. You're going to leave the username the same, everything there, but you're going to put in your caption or in your profile description, you're going to say, you know, old account for company B, now posting all content on @company A. So that when they come to your profile, they can see plain as day in that description that this content is not active. You're no longer posting here and everything is on @account A, so they can tap on that and go over to account A. You can choose if you want to archive all of your old content. I would not delete. Do not delete unless it is contractually required under a merge, acquisition agreement or something like that, which I've rarely ever heard or seen that, but it can happen. Unless it is required legally, do not delete your content off of that old account. You can archive it if you don't want it there, which would mean you go in and you take all that content, you archive it so that the administrators, the people who run that account, can still see the data. You can still see the old posts, but it's not public facing. So if somebody comes to account B, when they go in there, they're going to see your couple pin posts that say, we've moved over to account A. Come follow us on account A. And that's all they're going to see. They're not going to see any of the old content. Good morning, Lisa Kennedy. It is so good to see you. Got Daniel Hill here as well. We've got Marie in the house. Hello, all you beautiful, wonderful people. It's wonderful to see you on this Sunday. We're talking about, can you merge Instagram accounts? That was a question submitted by Susanna. And no, you cannot merge Instagram accounts, but we're talking about the workaround that you can do to essentially merge accounts on Instagram. So we've got company B, account B over here is the one that we're not going to use anymore. Account A is the one that everything is going to. Most of the work goes on to account B. We're going to be over here posting content saying we're no longer here. Follow us on account A. We're going to edit our description of our profile that says, hey, we're over on account A. We're going to possibly archive all of our content off of account B. We want to make it very clear that if somebody finds account B, that the only place to get the content is account A. Account A can do some things, like I said, do a little welcome post, say something like, hey, welcome to everybody from account B, you're in the right place, we're happy to have you here. But you're not really going to do too much else to advertise on account A that this has been the shift. you're just gonna move forward on account A with the new content strategy, whether it's including some of the content that would have been account B, whatever that new social strategy is for that new direction going forward. You're not going to go and take a bunch of account B's photos or content and move it over to account A. We're not going to do that because you already have account A. It's already your dominant account. It already has a presence and audience and engagement. We don't want to all of a sudden flood them with a ton of posts that came from account B and put it over here and alienate your audience, push them away, make them be like, oh my God, why are you posting 30 posts in 10 days? This is ridiculous. I don't want all this content. So we're not going to flood account A. Account A has a new strategy going forward now that the accounts are merged, but you're not going to overly change you're not going to pull from account B and pull it into account A. Account B takes all the responsibility to say, hey, we're not here anymore. Go over here to account A. And that's the strategy. That's all you can do. For those of you who are popping in a little bit late into the show, we're talking about whether or not you can merge Instagram accounts. And the answer is no. So we just walked through kind of the workaround that you can do. It is a strategy. You do have to plan for this. You do have to think about this. You can't just stop using account B and assume that everyone's going to know that you are on account A. And you may have followers that aren't active, like on Instagram, right? Like they may only log into Instagram once a month. And so you may do all this campaign on account B and you're like, we're not here anymore. We're not here anymore. And then I log in, 42 days later, I'm not going to see your post. I'm not going to know that you've moved. So it is worth keeping that active component on account B for a period of time. Depends on the acquisition, depends on the companies, depends on the profiles. If it's your own personal profile, you might feel comfortable sending people a DM and just being like, hey, just so you know, I've moved over to this other account. It's still me, but I'm putting all my professional stuff on this account now. If it's people that you know, people that you have relationships with, DMs are fine. Average businesses, no, we do not need that level of advertising. But you could have something that goes out, do a story every week, once a week, every week. You could, again, you could refresh your feed post. So when you have a feed post on your account B that you've got pinned, literally recreate that exact same post. Archive the first one, recreate it again so it goes out like once a month and you just keep that going so that somebody who doesn't log in, every single day, every single week isn't going to have that. Sorry, I almost knocked the camera over. I had to stretch my legs. Hold on. So that you're not going to have the overwhelm or the lack of awareness of someone coming to that profile, or not even coming to it, just logging in and not seeing the content there, not seeing your content, not knowing that you've moved. So there might be a strategy to keep that going for a period of time. That might be a month, 6 months. You get to decide what that looks like. But again, this is a strategy. There is an exit strategy if you're going to move all of your content from one account to another. So, and it's also worth pointing out, this is very complicated. This is very confusing for a lot of people. Hypothetically, let's just say you were going to merge two Instagram accounts, which we've already said you cannot do. But what if you were to you wanted the name from account B, but you wanted to use it on account A? Is that an option? I'm going to go with no. So Instagram is really weird about the whole username situation. If you want to use the username from account B, just make account B your dominant profile and use all your strategy on account A to move them to account B. If you turn around and say, okay, I'm going to change the username on account B. I'm going to turn that off because I want to make it available to account A. There is no guarantee that account A is going to get that username. Instagram holds usernames for a period of time. So you can't just be like, oh, not being used anymore. Now I can take it. No, Instagram's not going to let you take that username because it's already been used. They may at some point release that username for use, but it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be never. I don't really actually understand the whole factors behind it because they've evolved it and there's no clear definition on how this works. So do not assume that you can just take the username from account B, change it, make it available, and put it on account A. If you're going to use account A, you're sticking with the name for account A and or changing the username on account A to show that it's a merge of the two or a new business name or whatever you want that new name to be. But that opens up a whole other can of worms, and we're not going to talk about that on today's show. We can save that for another show if you're interested. But what you should do if you change your username on Instagram. If you want to, you can actually go, I have an old post, old, but it's still totally relevant. If you go to jenstrends.com, you can read that old blog post that talks about all the things you should do if you're going to change your username on Instagram, because it's not as easy as you think. It's easy to change the username, but it's got a lot of repercussions. So before you just go changing your username, you can go read that blog post over on jenstrends.com and just search Instagram username and it'll take you to that blog post. All right, so for those of you who popped in, recently we answered the question submitted by Susanna. The question was, can you merge Instagram accounts? The answer is no, but we just spent the last 15 minutes or whatever talking about workarounds for if you want to merge Instagram accounts, how you can go about doing that without actually merging the Instagram account. So that was today's tactic. Now, while we have tea, we're going to talk about the tenacity I mentioned, which today I want to talk about poverty mentality or scarcity mentality versus abundance mentality. Now, this is something most of us have grown up in some capacity with poverty mentality, scarcity mentality. It may be that our parents grew up in a certain era where they were one of many children. There was only one working parent. They lived through wars and depression and all, financial collapse and all these different scenarios where this was a real reality for them. They literally had scarcity, right? They were penny pinching to the finest. They literally were hand-me-downs of everything. There were, rationing food and all these things. Like, that was absolutely a reality. I am not taking away from that reality. But what happens is that people that grew up in that mentality tend to retain that mentality even though they don't have scarcity. Even though they have more than enough, we live in a poverty mentality because that's how we were conditioned. You will finish everything on your plate. We don't waste food in this house. Or, no, we can't take that trip. We might need that money next month. If we need that rainy day fund. We cannot have that extra clothing. We cannot go here to that expensive dinner. Oh my gosh, why would you spend that much money on dinner? There's all these things that go through our head in poverty mentality. And listen, I am not telling you, I don't know your financial situation, you don't know mine. I am not here to tell you to spend money you do not have. That is a totally different reality and nothing I'm going to ever tell you to do. But there's a difference between poverty mentality and abundance mentality. Poverty mentality is that there will never be enough, that you are not going to be okay, that you need to save for when the worst happens. Abundance mentality says, there's going to be enough. I will make more. It will work out. It's going to be okay. So, for example, if I'm going to plan a trip with my daughter, I've got the money. It's in my bank account. If I go on this trip, it doesn't mean I'm not paying my rent. I can afford to go on this trip. Poverty mentality goes, well, okay, we're going to go on the trip, but we're budgeting. And we're eating at the buffet. And we're getting the hotel that has the free breakfast buffet because I'm not paying for breakfast. And you get one toy on this trip. And even though I have the money to go, I am living that reality of don't overdo it, don't spend the money, don't enjoy it. Everything is another typical thing that comes up with poverty mentality around trips is you're going to go on this trip and you're going to like it because I spent all the money on it, right? Like, how many times have we heard that? Or how many times have we said that? Like, I paid all this money for you to go to Disneyland. You damn well better enjoy it. We're forcing people to have fun in an environment they don't want to have fun because we spent the money and we're not going to waste the money. Abundance mentality says, this is how much money I have for the trip. Let's go have fun. If you get there and you decide, you know what? Yes, we booked that kayaking trip, but that weather, nope, that doesn't look good. I'm going to forego the money. I'm not going to put myself on a kayak in a place where I don't feel comfortable. And it's okay that the money is gone. I had the money, I budgeted for it, and whether or not I go on that, it's okay, right? I'm going to let that trip just Go. I'm not going to take that kayaking trip. It's okay. I don't need the money back. I'm not going to go chase a discount. I'm not going to chase a refund. You can if you want to, but abundance mentality says it's okay. I don't need to put myself in that situation where I'm not going to be happy just to check the box that I spent the money. So I'm using all these examples because I want you to think about this, because we can see it in our lives. We can see how we do this in our lives with trips, with different expectations, with our kids, with our family. So I always have this story, and it became this big, long joke in my family. So I had this, like a spatula, like a flipper spatula in the kitchen. It was this plastic, ivory-colored, plastic, disgusting spatula. I'd had it for a lifetime, like, I don't know, 15 years. It was cracked. It was broken. And I'm telling you, I would never throw that thing away. I was like, nope, it still works. It's a little flimsy. It still works. It's not leaving broken plastic in my food. It's all good. It is just fine. And I refused to get rid of this stupid spatula. So finally, one year at Christmas, my mom bought me a new spatula. That was one of my Christmas presents, was a new spatula. We all laughed hysterically. And I am at a place in my life where, trust me, I can afford a $5, $6, $7 spatula. Okay, it's not like I couldn't afford it, but it's that poverty mentality. It's that, but I have this, and this works just fine. I don't need better. I don't need something else, right? This works just fine. I don't care if there's new ones or better ones or more efficient tools, whatever it is. I was good with what I had because I just didn't see the need to spend the money, even though I could spend the money. And like I said, I want to take all these examples of poverty mentality in our lives because we can see these examples. I'm sharing these with you. You're going, oh yeah, I've done that. Or, oh yeah, I saw my mom do that. Or, oh, I totally said that to my kids, or whatever it is. We do the same thing in our businesses. We carry that poverty mentality into our businesses where we say, I don't need that new tool. I don't need that. This tool that I have over here, it works just fine. It is clunky. It is awkward. It takes 3 times longer to get the job done, but it's fine. I don't need to pay for that new tool. I don't need to upgrade to the higher plan. I don't need to do this. Or and for most of you on this call, are solopreneurs, small business owners, entrepreneurs. You are your business. You are the most important thing in your business. If something happens to you, your business will suffer. You are your business. And yet we won't invest in ourselves, right? We're like, oh, well, I will put the money into my employees. I will put the money into my business. But we don't put it into ourselves. We pull that poverty mentality into, no, I got to keep that money in the bank account. You know, it's going to be a tough month next month, and I got to keep that money in there. And, well, I don't know. I might lose that client. I might lose an opportunity. I might not get that next client. I might not get that next gig. My product might have a problem. And so we don't invest in ourselves. We don't invest in the training for ourselves. We don't invest in our own personal vacations. We don't invest in a weekend off. We don't invest in hiring staff. We don't invest in the business because we're just so sunken into the poverty mentality that we believe. And this is a hard thing to shift out of, okay? This is a legit shift. This is not something you're just going to be like, oh, I heard Jenn Herman say we need to do abundance mentality. Oh, yay, it's fixed. No, ma'am. The reason I'm bringing this up is because February is my poverty mentality. I struggle in my ebbs and flows of my business. I have 2 months which always suck. February and usually June or July. Depends on where the summer breaks fall. And so I have a good December, and all that money goes in January. But January sucks. January, there's no speaking events. January, everyone's getting their credit card bills. January is when I get the drop off. I don't get revenue in January, which means the revenue doesn't come in February. So February is a month where I go, ooh, I gotta pull those purse strings. Oh, it's getting tight. Abundance mentality tells me, it's okay. You do this every year. And every year by March, it's okay. It comes back around. I will be a little more lean this month. I'm going to not be as frivolous with my income, or I'm going to save a little bit extra into that savings account this month, or I'm going to make sure I don't pull that money out of the business account this month. February, I go a little more lean. But that's just smart budgeting. It's not poverty mentality. I know that it's okay that come March, that money's going to come back. The revenue's going to build back up into April, May, and June, and then it drops off in the summer again because everyone goes on summer vacation and I get no income. But then it pops back up. By September, it's all back. And it does this every year. I know that this is my fluctuation in my business. And so abundance mentality tells me it's going to be okay. I can always make more money. I can launch a new product. I can launch a new ebook. There's a reason why I launched an ebook in February. If you want to grab that ebook, hashtags unlocked, and help a girl out, I'd appreciate it. But there's a reason why I launch things like I do in February. Because it's an opportunity to recalibrate some revenue in the month of February when I know it's going to be a low month. Abundance mentality says it's okay. The money will come. I'm going to figure it all out and I can make more money. I can find a way to raise my prices. I can take on another client. I can offer a new solution. Whatever that is, you can figure it out rather than saying, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. I've got to pull back the purse strings. I can't spend any money. It's all going to collapse. And then you start panicking and then everything becomes about the money. Again, I'm not here to give you budgeting and financial advice in any way, shape, or form. Do not spend money you do not have. That's going to be my one major life tip. But switch the mentality from poverty mentality that there's never enough to abundance mentality that there's always enough. That's the biggest shift. And when you believe that there's always going to be enough, when you believe that it's going to work itself out, when you believe and know that there is enough for you and it's going to work itself out in the long run, guess what? It does. Because you start working towards that as the only solution. When you believe that the money is going to be lost, when you believe you're going to lose that client, when you believe the product is going to fail, and even if you don't say it out loud, but in your head, that's your mentality. You're like, oh God, what if it fails? What if it fails? Oh my gosh, what if it fails? What if it fails? I'm not saying don't have a backup plan, but if all you think about is what happens when it goes wrong, you set yourself up for it to go wrong. When all you think about is that it is going to work. What about when this is massively successful? What about when this is what I am known for? What about when this product saves all this money for other people? Or what about when I finally get to that stage of, notoriety or celebrity or whatever it is that you want? When that's what you believe the outcome is, you make business decisions that get you to that outcome. So moving to the abundance mindset puts you in an environment of abundance. And I know that sounds woo-woo and hoo-ha and all those things, but it works. It's true. You are what you believe. And the more you believe in the abundance mentality, the more it becomes your reality. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody who popped in. Marie is here. We've had some, Mike Alton, spoiler alert. No, you can't. LOL. Yes, that was a spoiler alert on our tactics question, which was, can you merge Instagram accounts? No, you can't. But go back and watch the replay because I talked about what you can do around this. We got Digital Marketing Woman is here as well. And then so Headpiece said, I just switched over to abundance mentality. So much better living this way. Girl, I love it. And it's true. I could go on for hours about this, but this is I want to bring this up as well. When we live in poverty mentality, we believe that we aren't worth as much. You don't charge as much for your product. You don't charge as much for your services. And I'm not saying that with no experience, you should walk out and charge $3,000 an hour. No, let's not be crazy. But you have something of value. And if you are the only person that creates that product, you get to set the price. If you are the only person who does that service, you get to set the price. If you are one of hundreds of people doing it, go look and see what the industry average is and price yourself accordingly. Don't undercut yourself. Don't overcharge, but put yourself in a position where you value your own worth. That's another big differentiator between the poverty mentality and the abundance mentality. If you're saying, oh, well, this is only worth $200 and someone's only going to give you $200. If you say, no, this is worth $600 and someone goes, yeah, it's worth $600, they're going to give you $600. It's believing that your product is worth that or that your service is worth that. That's part of that shift from poverty mentality, worrying that everybody else worries about the price. You're worried about it. You're concerned about it. So you underprice. You undercut your value. You will work twice as hard for half as much money. it's a struggle that you can't get out of as you raise your prices, as you make yourself more valuable to the person on the other end of that transaction. You're going to work half as much for twice as much money. Abundance! It all comes around. We've got the PMS Storm blogger here. We've got a bunch of amazing people. Hello. I can't pronounce half of these usernames. We've got Terrible Twin here as well. We've got, oh, that's a French company. I'm not going to try. I'm assuming Bouvi Vetements. But I don't know. I'm assuming that's a French company. We've got Kevin here. Creekside is here. Hello, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. For those of you who popped in late, we talked today about whether or not you can merge Instagram accounts. And then Tenacity, we talked about poverty mentality versus abundance mentality. With that, I'm going to sign off and go enjoy my Sunday with all the things that I have to get done on this busy Sunday. But I appreciate all of you hanging out with me today. We'll be back next week for another episode of Tea Tactics and Tenacity, where we have a cup of tea and we talk about one Instagram tactic that matters to you. All of the questions submitted on Tea Tactics and Tenacity are submitted by viewers just like you. And I answer that one question. And then tactics, that's a tactics tenacity. We talk about something that goes on in my life that I feel like I want to share with you. So that's sometimes mom life, entrepreneur life, business life, life in general, whatever that is. And I thank all of you for hanging out with me today. Kayla, hello. So good to see you here as well. Enjoy your day. If you have a question you want answered on Tea Tactics and Tenacity, feel free to shoot me a direct message, shoot me a DM here on Instagram, leave a comment here on this video. I will save that question for a future episode of Tea Tactics and Tenacity. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me today. Have a wonderful Sunday.